And we're live. Welcome to our live viewers. I want to thank our advertisers for providing bandwidth. Of course, Gary over here at ABN Army Surplus. I can't talk tonight.
Go ahead, try that again.
Exactly. The ABN family of companies for providing the bandwidth and the place that we record at tonight. Concealment Solutions, Crusader Weaponry, New Jersey Second Amendment Society, and of course, Gary Doherty with the Firearms Safety Institute, who's going to be joining us on the air tonight. Gary and Gary, what I have gotten done so far in naming on the show notes, I put your last initial there so we can,
Okay. Works for me. I'm going to take Gary D then. Is that correct?
Okay, let me see. Is there anything else I need? No, Q&A is up there, so.
Do we have anybody watching on YouTube?
Not yet. We just went live. Susan, are you on the live page? Yes, you usually are. Okay, I'm going to get a quick level test on my Audacity software here. Gary Doherty, could I have you say a couple words?
Hi, guys. How you doing today?
Okay. How about you, Rachel?
I'm ready whenever.
Okay. Matt?
Mic check.
Okay. And Gary Harpster?
Yo, testing 1, 2, 3.
All right. Everybody's good?
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my camera because too often it causes trouble with bandwidth. So
that's fine with me.
Just so I don't break up. Okay, but I'm still here.
Okay. Are we ready to cut this intro?
Let's do it.
Okay, here we go. Coming back in 5. Hi, and welcome to the Polite Society Podcast, recorded live on Saturday, July the 12th, 2014. I'm Paul Lathrop.
I'm Gary Doherty, and we'll talk about self-defense news.
I'm Gary Harpster, and a discussion about being separated from military service while on active duty overseas.
I'm Rachel Malone. We also have our normal DGU segment and some emails to talk about.
So climb aboard.
Strap in.
And hang on. Episode 252 of the Polite Society Podcast starts right now. That'll work. I can edit that, Gary. Don't worry about it. Oops, I forgot one thing. Just a second. Sweetheart, could I have you get my laptop bag? I got to get a drive in there I've got to grab. I'm kind of jammed in my wires here. Mr. Fats is already on YouTube. Says hello from the great state of Texas.
Well, hello back to him. Thanks for listening.
And I am about to question the great state of Texas tonight in some pretty strong words, Rachel, so have a seatbelt ready.
Come on. It's going to take me just a minute, guys. Okay, are we ready to do the catch-up segment?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. All right, coming back in 5. Hey, and welcome back. We are live again tonight from ABN Army Surplus in Sioux Falls. The lineup here is a little bit different tonight than you normally hear on the air. Gary Doherty, of course, he is with the Firearm Safety Institute. He is joining us as one of our normal people because both Rob and John are on vacation. Gary Harpster is sitting over here to my left. Rachel is calling in down from Texas. And Matt, one of our regular listeners, came up from Sioux City, and he's joined us here up at ABN as well. So to get started with the personal news segment, let's go ahead and start on my line of faces down on the bottom of the screen. Gary, you're up first. Gary Doherty, I'm sorry, is up first. What have you been up to since the last time you got on the air, man?
Well, since the last time, I went shooting myself, a little practice. And yesterday I just finished training and qualifying 2 more students for a recent private Illinois concealed carry class. They couldn't make part of the regular class with the rest of the group, so I had to finish them up yesterday. And they both shot great and are now qualified to apply.
Very cool. Now, once they get qualified to apply, that's what normally about when we were talking on the phone when I thought I could still do it through Illinois, we were talking about 90 days or so usually, 60, 90 days.
If you submit fingerprints, the requirement is 90 days. Of course, there's no penalty to the state for not meeting that requirement, and they have overshot their requirement with FOID card applications before, but right now my students are averaging about 60 days to get their permits after applying.
Okay, cool. Cool. Next on my list of faces down at the bottom of my screen would be Gary Harpster.
Oh, new and interesting. Well, one of the throw 2 cents in for another one of those events. You know, Make-A-Wish.
Sure.
Make-A-Wish is a wonderful organization for folks if you got one in your community. And tonight here in town is Hot Harley Nights, which is a giant event that goes on for no other reason than for a whole bunch of bikers to get together, have a few beers, and contribute to Make-A-Wish, and they earn a ton of money. That is sponsored by one of our local Harley-Davidson groups, J&L Harley, and I just want to give some kudos out to those of you that are bikers for everything you do and ask you to stay safe and stay alert. The motorcycle crowd in our community is wonderful, and I think nationwide, I'm sure even in the gun community here with the show, just top-notch people. So just want you guys to stay alert, stay alert, stay alert, because those of us who drive 4 wheels are not paying attention. So take care.
You bet. I agree. Being a former motorcyclist myself, I don't currently ride, but I have in the past. Yeah, if you're on a bike, stay alert. And to everybody that rides a motorcycle, the quality of your helmet directly reflects the quality of the brain it protects. So if you're not wearing a helmet, you draw the rest to the conclusion. Rachel, you're next on my list of faces down here. What's been up with you since you were on the air last time?
Well, today I got to participate in a very successful caddy walk that was specifically for the ladies. We call it the Gunpowder and Lace Walk. Caddy stands for Come and Take It, and it's one of the Texas open carry groups, the one that I associate with. So that was a lot of fun. We had a great deal of media coverage. I think I got cornered by the Fox News reporter when I was still on my way from the parking garage just coming into the meeting area. So I definitely got a lot of interviews. Had some ladies come out, a lot of black powder pistols, some rifles, a lot of flags. It was a great time. A really, really good, safe event. Almost as soon as I came home, I went outside with some friends to zero one of my friend's rifles. He just got a new scope. It's an FNAR. Pretty sweet rifle, pretty sweet scope, and it took a while to get the equipment settled, and I just finally got to fire off a couple rounds about 15 minutes before the show went live. So that was a lot of fun.
Okay. What kind of scope did that thing have on it?
He just put a new one on. I believe the one he got is a Falcon Menace scope. It's a pretty good bang for the buck. This friend is really, really good at researching and finding good gear that he gets the most out of his money for what we get. So it's cool stuff.
Okay. And then, well, I always go last, so Matthew, that leaves you up. Matthew, of course, our regular listener, drives up from Sioux City every once in a while, and it's about a 90-mile drive, and he did that again tonight. What's been up with you since the last time you were on our air, man?
Well, I actually came up here today to shoot my first apple seed.
Very cool.
It was definitely a great learning experience. I got some of my groups really narrowed down, but I still didn't make rifleman, unfortunately. Hope to try again in 2 months.
Well, I can tell you, I think the average is 2 or 3 apple seeds before you score rifleman. It took me 5 times. Occasionally, I'll have somebody come in their first apple seed and get a patch, but it's very rare. So, good for you.
So, what did you use? Did you use that 1022 takedown to shoot the apple seed?
Yeah, I did. It really shot like a dream. Got one group where all 5 rounds were touching in the same hole.
Nice. Now, did you have? Was that open sights? Was that?
That was using tech sights, peep sights.
Okay.
So it's just an aperture sight and then the slink on a 1022 takedown with a wood stock.
Awesome.
So I've got a question. What do you feel like was one thing, maybe the most important thing you took away from the instruction you had?
Honestly, it was the instruction on shooting the different positions, mostly because I've spent so much time listening to interviews done about the Appleseed program. I've learned almost all the stories about it already.
Gotcha.
Where did you do it?
Just outside of Sioux Falls here, over in Brandon.
What's the organization? I mean,
it's part of the Revolutionary War Veterans Association.
Okay.
They're going to be having another one coming up. I think it's the 15th, if I'm not mistaken. It's the middle of September is when it is.
12th or 13th of September, something like that.
Yeah, it's coming up in a few months, and I plan on taking that one at that time as well. I would have done it this time, but we had veterinary bills that hit us a little while back, and funds got extremely limited. So, and then the last one on the parade here is me. Susan and I, well, to start with, we started the process today of getting some new family members, and we went to our local shelter and absolutely fell in love with a couple of. There's a couple of dogs there that have been there. Special situation. They're a pair of dogs. They've been together for a while, and I think 4 years they've been together. Their owner died, and they have separation anxiety, and so they really don't want to be away from each other. And it's hard enough to adopt a single adult dog. Everybody wants a puppy, and so just to adopt 2 adult dogs, almost nobody wants to do it. They've been at the shelter for 6 months, and we met them today, and we absolutely fell in love. So probably by this time next week we'll have some new family members at our house. I also I got a pet peeve. This really doesn't belong anywhere else, so I'm going to throw it in here. I was doing some research today for the show, and I want to give a public shout out to Rob, because Rob does most of the research and most of the preparing his show notes for the show. He's on vacation, so he's not here today, and he didn't do any of the work with the show notes, so Gary Doherty and I have done most of it. But I was doing some research, and I clicked on an article to read it, and it's in regards to the DGUs, and up pops an autoplay video ad. Well, these things are about the bane of my existence. I hate them. What was annoying about this one was there was no way to shut it off. You had to let the full 30 seconds of high definition video play before the damn thing would shut off. And so it would run for a few seconds, and then it would buffer, and it would run for a few seconds, and it would buffer. And oh goodness, I can tell you this: the advertisement was for Dannon yogurt, and I will not buy Dannon yogurt now just because they totally pissed me off. I'll eat at the Buffalo Wild Wings and buy an apartment in downtown Manhattan before I will eat Dannon yogurt. They made me so mad.
You know, a lot of these tricks that the new websites offer are just, it's gotten beyond me. We're in the middle, as you know, of designing a new website.
Right.
And I am trying really, really hard to put a good website up, but a simple one like we're all accustomed to. Go here, click here, get here. This stuff, even Fox News, you realize that if you click on the Fox News for a few minutes and you're reading a couple of different articles, then all of a sudden those ads just automatically start playing. And if you're in the middle of a video that you're watching from someplace else, like something you found on Facebook or something like that, it plays over it.
Yep.
It just automatically starts. And I do not know where the owners of these web designs are thinking that people like this crap. These pop-ups that won't go away. We used to be able to put a pop-up filter in, and this crap wouldn't show up anymore.
Well, that's kind of why they're doing it this way, is because the pop-up blockers got there, and the ad revenue on any of these sites is pennies on the dollar for every ad. So they're trying to get as much revenue out of it as possible.
Yeah, and it's a sad thing. There's no reason for it at all. And I, like you, Paul, there are some things I look at and say, if that's the way you're going to treat me when I'm trying to read an article of some kind or another, to hell with you. I'm not going to buy your product. Done with it.
Yeah. So,
just as technology increases, guys, excuse me, they are coming up now with filters to stop those kind of things. When I go to YouTube videos, I don't get a 15 or 30-second ad before the video. When I go to a website, I don't get those. They're built in. They're add-ons that I got for free with my Firefox browser. So it still is possible to filter. It takes a little extra work than the old pop-up blockers, but it's still possible to block them.
Oh, well, that's good to know. I don't have the technology to do that. Do you mind coming here to the store for just a few minutes and fixing that for me?
I'd love to come to the store.
Just a hop, skip, and a jump over there from Illinois, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Day's drive.
All right. Well, let's do this, guys. Let's go ahead and jump to break, and we've got a ton of news to talk about when we get back, and we will be right back right after this. Gary, do you want to do a live promo today?
Why don't you, on the first one, you want to stick in the pre-recorded?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we got at some point this week maybe talk a little bit more about modern editing hers. Not for this, but see if we can cut and paste it. Or if we could get her back, it would be. I like the way she did that. I wouldn't mind.
I can bring her back, but every time I bring her back, I have to pay her.
Yeah. How much would it cost her?
$20 an hour.
$20 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I'd pay the $20 to get her back, because in an hour, I'll bet you she could do 10, 12, 15-second ads for me.
Oh, sure she would.
A couple 30s, yeah.
Yeah, as long as they're written up beforehand, yeah.
We'll talk about that. I'll talk to Sue about it, since she's the one that administratively takes care of all that stuff.
Oh, Susan's the boss.
You didn't bring anything for the drill, did you? I couldn't.
I'm just a pretty face behind the podcast. I mean, yeah. What's that? You're a little far away. I can't bite you from here, sweetheart. All right. How do we want to, Gary? Since yours is the first one on there, I'm going to have you lead that out. Let's see here. I'm going to do the second one because that one I kind of wrote for me. Rachel, can I give you the third one that starts with Jeff Knox?
Sure, yeah.
Do you want to read one, Matt, or do you want to?
I can. It doesn't matter.
I'll give you the one that starts with Miguel Gonzalez.
Okay.
Is there 2 T's in Matthew?
Yeah.
Or do you want to just Matt or?
It doesn't matter.
Okay. And I'm going to be a hog, and I'm going to take the last one because I don't know if Gary's going to be
Go for
back.
it.
If he does come back, I'll give this one to him.
Okay.
Okay. All right, are we ready to do this new segment?
I'm ready to roll.
Gary, you ready to go?
I'm ready to sit still and do it.
Okay.
All right, be that way.
All right, I'm going to do jumping jacks while I do mine. No. All right, let me get recording ready to go, and I'll bring us in, coming in back in 5. Hey, and welcome back to our news segment. Gary, you got the first one today, man.
I do. This is a headline from here in Illinois. Police bust local man on felony gun charges. I'm sure you're thinking, good, they got another bad guy off the street. But wait, there's a little more to this story. An FFL, who is a very vocal gun rights activist, gets food poisoning so severe he needs to be intubated in the hospital. Of course, anybody who's intubated must be restrained so they don't hurt themselves pulling the tube out of their throat. According to hospital policy, anybody who is restrained has a mandatory meeting with a psychiatrist. Mandatory meeting means bye-bye FFL, which I understand he has spent 6 figures in legal fees trying to get back. Bye-bye Illinois Concealed Carry Instructor Certification. Bye-bye Illinois FOID card. Now, I don't know what evidence was used, possibly some Facebook pictures of his gun collection, but 2 search warrants were issued for his business and for his home, and they found 3 handguns, 2 rifles, and 1,800 rounds of ammunition. And I can tell you the responses and the comments at the bottom of these news articles have all been, good, they got him, good, da, 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 because of his abrasive style when he does post things on Facebook and his blog and social media and things like that. So over the years, he's really ruffled a lot of even pro-gun feathers. Now he's being vilified for doing nothing wrong until the last minute when he didn't immediately relinquish all of his guns after his FOID card was revoked. All because of some comments he made on social media. So I'm just saying, be careful what you post.
Well, I hate to see somebody going through that simply because it sounds like he's getting railroaded. I mean, no matter what, whether the guy's a jerk or not, he still has rights. You know, I've been called I'm the world's biggest southbound end of a northbound house or horse. You know, but I still have rights and I fight for them. It sounds like this guy's just getting trampled because of his rights, and unfortunately, he's because of his attitude, hasn't got a whole lot of friends behind him. Have I kind of got that? Is that? Am I reading that right, Gary?
You're reading that 100% right, and that's the thing. If this had been a friendly, normal gun owner who lost his FOID card through no fault of his own, he just got sick, and then they raided his house and his business with search warrants. And and here you have guns, and I'm sure his thought process was he's been spending a lot of money trying to get that stuff back, but and normally you and I would go, oh, this is horrible. What are the police doing? And like I said, not seeing his posts, you're not seeing some of his more aggressive comments, and because of those, the public here in Illinois is just railroading the guy. They're trying him in the public. They don't even know about the hospital stay. They're going, that scumbag, no FOID card, good, they got him, finally got him because he's a bad guy. Well, I don't really know if he's a bad guy. His comments are a little rough. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Personally, I have to question what legal fiction they're using to try and support confiscation of his reloading equipment, because as far as I know, that's not covered under any federal laws.
You caught that, yeah. They, I don't know. I don't know what. Yeah, they did take his reloading equipment also. I don't know how that's related to the search warrant.
Wow. Yeah. Well, keep us posted on it. I mean, you join us every once in a while, but even if you're not scheduled to be on the air, if you've got an update, let us know, man.
Of course. Trials in a month, August 8th.
Okay. Well, the next story we have, well, it looks like there's a fight going on down in Miami, and some good advice inadvertently is coming out of the policemen's union. This comes directly from the WVSN website, and I'm going to go ahead and read this verbatim from their website. Miami-Dade County could end up with hundreds of police officers losing their jobs in a budget proposal made by Miami-Dade Mayor Carlos Gimenez Tuesday. This is it, the start of a long-term budget strategy that will help us avoid yearly budget crises, said Gimenez during his announcement of the 2014 through 2015 budget proposal. The budget cuts close to 650 county jobs to fill a $64 million hole in the general fund. Miami-Dade police can see the largest cuts if certain concessions are not made by the local labor union. Quote, if we get no concessions whatsoever, then we're looking at about 250 police officers, said Gimenez. If the police department cuts are made, officers from administrative posts would likely shift to the street, and certain specialized units that deal with robberies and child abuse cases could see the positions vanish. Quote, one of the directions I told the director I wanted to have the same number of patrol officers in the street that we have today, said Gimenez. The Miami-Dade Police Benevolent Association, Reed Union, fired back after the proposal, saying public safety is paramount and these proposed cuts will have a negative impact. John Rivera, president of the Miami-Dade Police Benevolent Association, said, quote, if the mayor's not going to provide security, then my recommendation is, as an experienced law enforcement officer for nearly 40 years, is to either buy yourself an attack dog, put bars on your windows and doors, and get yourself some firearms, because you're going to have to protect yourselves. We won't be able to, unquote. Now, I would say if I lived in Miami, I don't care if they got a bonus in the police budget. I'd be doing all those things. Our good friend Miguel Gonzalez of the Gun Free Zone blog, and we've got the next story actually comes off his blog, but he lives down there, and it's not exactly, Florida is not Illinois or New York, and Miami isn't Chicago, but it's not exactly the lowest crime area in the world. So it's kind of interesting that they're saying, it's kind of the union saying, buy guns, but honestly, if a lot of people follow their advice, they're going to be talking themselves out of work anyway, in my opinion, because crime rates will drop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was getting ready to go with that exact same place, Paul, that you did. I mean, you look at this 40-year experienced law enforcement officer, what does he say? Basically, if you can't count on police force there, like providing bodyguard service, what should you do? My recommendation, he says, is get an attack dog, put bars on your windows and doors, get yourself some firearms. The point is, you can't count on the police to protect you, and if you have a large police force, sometimes there's an impression that maybe they can protect you. When it's diminished, I think that highlights the fact that, hey, they're not right outside my door all the time. They're not my bodyguards. I have to actually take some responsibility. So, maybe this could be a positive thing if people would actually start taking responsibility in the way that they should. I don't know. We'll see.
Yep. Anybody else got any comments on that?
Well, the one thing they forget to mention is no matter how close you are to a police station, it still is about an 8-minute response time, even if you're 500 feet away.
Exactly. They're not your bodyguard right next to you trying to prevent you from harm. They respond once the crime has been committed.
Yeah, it's like Bob Maine says all the time. The reason I carry a gun is because the cop's too darn heavy. They're not
right.
there all the time.
Right.
And they have no obligation to protect you.
That's right.
That's right. And this hopefully will highlight that and help people to actually start understanding it. Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, I can only add that I completely agree with what both of you said. So.
Well, thank you.
Matt, I think you got the next one, man.
I'm pretty sure I do.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rachel.
No problem. All right, I got the next one. Jeff Knox reports in WND.com that the USA Today has started running full-page ads paid for by Bloomfield Press. That's the publishing company owned by Alan Corwin. He provides many of our gun quotes. These full-page ads relate what you hear each and every episode here, and that is defensive gun use. These are almost never seen in places like the USA Today. But Corwin plans to keep running these from time to time in the USA Today, and he plans to expand them out to other papers and media outlets. So good on you, Alan. Keep it up. Thanks for your work. And listeners, please check out our show notes for this episode to find a link where you can help him keep these ads going. This is great work he's doing. We want to make sure it can continue.
Yeah, one thing that Alan did that I just loved is he took the city of Phoenix, so actually the Phoenix bus service, to court and spanked them because they wouldn't let him put up ads for his website on the benches, and now he's going and I don't know if when he went to the USA Today if he pointed out, hey, look at what we did down here in Arizona, but they're running these. I seen it the ad itself. And they've got several stories that we've run in the past in the ad that ran on the Wednesday's USA Today. So, yeah, Alan Corwin, man, good job. Good job.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I like about this? It's creative. It's not something that everybody just thinks of to do. And he's getting out there in a real creative way. And it's believable. It's kind of approaching his audience at a point where they can accept it, where they can actually listen to it in a way that can actually bend their thinking, shape their thinking, help them question what they've heard just by presenting those facts and those stories. Everybody likes a good story. And this is a story that has a great point to it and brings out a great truth that other people without the story might not necessarily believe or want to consider. So it's just a great way of getting out there and being proactive in a very, very creative way.
Sure. Very cool.
Yeah, he's a smart guy. He's I'm glad he's on our side.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
I got to meet him when I was down in Orlando at the Gun Rights Policy Conference, and he impressed the hell out of me. Rob and I were sitting down. This is night one of Gun Rights Policy Conference. Rob and I are sitting down and having an adult beverage and talking, and there were some other people there. And Alan Corwin comes up and starts talking to me and Rob he starts talking to me like Rob had his blog going, and Rob was fairly important at the time. But he's talking to me like I'm important, and I'm like, I've got this little tiny podcast that I just got started a few months ago. And here's Alan Corwin talking to me like my opinion matters, and it just impressed the heck out of me.
Cool. It's awesome. Well, you're doing a good thing too, because hey, you're twice a week. You're bringing out these stories.
Yeah, and a few more people. Well, a lot more people, but there's more people to listen now than listen then. But Matt, I think you got the next one, man.
All right. Miguel Gonzalez reports in his Gun Free Zone blog that an interesting crime study came out last week. The study was done by Garen Wintermute.
Exactly.
was looking in to find how many attempts were made to straw purchase a gun. I am going to direct you to Miguel's blog if you want all the details, including how the number was reached, but the end result of the study is, it comes out that of all attempts to buy a gun in 2011, the year of the study, 0.5% of all attempts were that were used to straw purchase illegally was about 1 in every 200 gun transactions. It looks to me like the law is working.
Yeah, so about one attempt out of every 200 attempts to buy a gun is illegal. So it just shows that by and large the public is law-abiding. You know, less than 0.5% of people, you know, of attempted gun purchases were blocked because of a straw purchasing attempt, and I think that's cool, you know.
And it just goes to show you criminals are stupid because there's still 0.5% who think they can get away with buying a gun.
Oh yeah.
True words.
Well, our last story for tonight, and this one just warms my heart. It really does. Former New Orleans mayor and member of Bloomberg's Mayors Against Illegal Guns, or, you know, I prefer this because our good friend Chaz over there, and I'm going to give him credit, of the Road Gunner podcast came up with, he thinks they should be called Mayors Against Good Guys Owning Tactical Stuff, or maggots. But anyway, Ray Nagin was sentenced this week to 10 years on corruption charges. He was convicted on 20 of 21 counts of bribery, wire fraud, tax evasion, and some other crimes earlier this year. Former Mayor Nagin was in charge of New Orleans when Katrina hit and is largely responsible for the gun confiscation debacle that happened during the catastrophe. I sincerely hope that Mayor Nagin goes to a real prison and does real prison time and doesn't just get shipped off to Club Fed.
Lots of stories beyond the news on that. You know, I was down there for Katrina.
Yep.
From the beginning, when we were dealing with the issue in the Dome, having to deal with the politics of Mayor Nagin, and probably no one other individual in the United States was more responsible for what happened incorrectly than he was. Brown and Bush both, you know, got the national flack for the problem, but nobody was actually more responsible than Nagin.
Yeah.
Yep. And we could take up hours and hours and hours of my sharing stories I had heard from contractors who had to pay this person or that person in order to get a bid to clean a street. They used to have just one short story to go along with Nagin's little group of corruptees during that deal. In the mornings, they would let you bid for getting the painting jobs through the city to repaint some of the damaged homes right away, the ones that were livable, so they could make them livable quicker.
Right.
And the contractors would come in, and you'd have to bid for the right to that license for the day. So who wants to paint today? You know, not that we don't need your help and you came from thousands of miles and really could use every painter. I only got 10 licenses available today. First one's up is how much? They'd actually bid them out, make money for the city.
Oh, so they'd auction the damn things?
They auction the licenses for the work to be done for that day in the city to help the Katrina victims. Yep.
Well, there was an absolute lack of common sense there.
Yeah. Well, and my wife Susan, who's not on mic, but she was down when Rita hit. She was down there in New Orleans already. She helped with the Red Cross down there, and she's got some good stories, and she had some pleasant experiences down there. But she had some some not so pleasant stories.
Do you
as well.
agree with me, Susan, that man singularly was more responsible than anybody else? Yeah.
Yeah, she's
shaking her head. Yes.
She's declining to come on microphone, but yeah, she agrees that
Well, let's hope he does some serious jail time, because he truly was not a good thing for a town to have during an emergency that size. That man lined his own pockets and left a lot of people stranded, so he needs to serve some serious jail time.
Yeah, we
Well-
we were talking about it here in Illinois. He got less time than our former governor and profited way more.
If I could ask which former governor, because you get a couple of them in prison, don't you?
Pretty much, isn't it? With your state, it's sort of like a term in government, a term in the prison, a term in, you know.
That's the way we do it. Blagojevich was trying to sell Obama's Senate
Right.
seat when he became president and did not profit at all because he never went through with it and got 13 years.
Yeah.
And for some reason, they cut. Reagan's sentence was supposed to be a minimum of 20 years, and somehow he managed to get away with only 10.
And
And
I'm one of those
I was a little
people,
shocked.
when it comes to the mayor of Chicago, I didn't necessarily see that was wrong. I got to tell you, if he wasn't going to put the money in his own pocket back into the city, I could see him getting a whole bunch of rich dudes together and say, "Hey, look, I got to pick one of you guys to go take over for Washington. You know, one of you want to throw some money in the kitty to help with the kids program, or build a new school."
Yeah, but no,
or
okay,
something.
this was a Blagojevich re-election campaign.
Yeah, that maybe wasn't right.
Okay, all right. Well, let's get off to gun quotes here. Let's go, Gary Doherty. You put a couple in here. I'm gonna let you do those. I'm gonna do the one after that.
Okay, well, I got a couple for you. I was doing a little research and I found these two. First one: when a person has a gun, sometimes their mind clicks that this thing will win arguments and straighten people out. The second quote is, when you carry a gun, you mean to harm somebody, kill somebody. Those both came from Bill Cosby. And my first thought was, if this is the prevailing anti-gun mindset, then I understand why they believe that the government should keep guns out of our hands. Of all the gun owners I know, have trained with and trained, none of them have this mindset.
Well, on a little bit more of a positive note, I do have one more gun quote this week, and that's from Brad Pitt, and that one is this: America is a country founded on guns. It's in our DNA. It's very strange, but I feel better having a gun. I really do. I don't feel safe. I don't feel the house is completely safe if I don't have one hidden somewhere. That's my thinking, right or wrong. I'd like to comment on that. Mr. Pitt, I know you've got more houses than just in California, and even with that California house, I think if you were to ask the LA County Sheriff if you could have a CCW, he would grant you that CCW in that may issue state of California, and I would suggest it is safer, far safer, for you to carry the gun on your person than to have one hidden away where you may or may not be able to get to it when you need to. So that's our gun quotes for this episode. We're going to go ahead and step aside, and when we come back, we got DGUs. Hang on, everybody. Right back right after this.
I had a quote, but I forgot to get it to you, and I apologize about that.
We can run it next weekend.
Yeah, we're always doing quotes.
You kind of cut those quotes off. I had a little comment about that. You know, he built a gun range for his wife in one of their homes
Really?
for her birthday. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I hope it's not a square range.
Well,
He owns it. Who's going to write the rules but him?
Yeah.
Have you guys used this one from Samuel Adams before? The Constitution shall never be construed to prevent the people of the United States who are peaceable citizens from keeping their own arms.
I think we might have, but we can always run it again. That's a good one.
Okay. Yeah, it's a favorite of mine.
Okay. DGUs. Who wants number one and so on? I think we've got 3 of them tonight.
I got 3. I already put it in.
Oh, yeah. Gary, I want you to do number 3 because you put that one in there.
Is this first Gary me?
Oops. Sorry, GH.
No. Gary D?
Gary Harpster, do you want to go ahead and do DGU number 1?
I can. Yep. Where are we? Isn't that what we just did here? Where we did? Oh, never mind. Okay.
And then Rachel, I'll have you do number 2.
Cool.
We had a shoot-
Sounds good.
We had a shooting and murder here in Sioux Falls too. Did you know that?
Yeah, but there was no the stabbing, but
Stabbing death.
I'm not gonna report on that because by their definitions, DGUs are somebody uses a gun in self-defense.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
All right, Paul, you want to just check mine and make sure you're okay with it then? I mean, it was a DGU, but I'm not going to be super nice to the DGUer.
Calendula.
Now, yeah, let's do it, but let's talk about it. I mean, when I'm
Okay.
gonna try and make sure that because I don't even have that show out yet. It's all parsed and ready to go. I just haven't built it yet. Today's been a real busy day. So I've listened to them talk about it, but I haven't read anything on it myself other than just very brief what's in their version of the show notes. So
Well, and that's my point. Is the article was a woman removed a cup from her car, and then there was an argument. The guy went in the house, got a gun, and started shooting at him. Well, you know that's not what happened. She said, "Who the f put this cup on my car?" And then there was an argument, and they were both screaming at each other. And then the guy went in the house, got a gun. So if you see in my write-up, there was a chance. There was at least 2 chances to de-escalate when the argument started, when the guy went in the house. You know what I'm saying? So
It's a valid point to bring up, like when you can de-escalate something.
Yeah.
Just curiosity, is Illinois a duty to retreat state?
I don't know. Gary?
it is. We do not have stand your ground laws for.
Do you have cancel doctrine?
We have. We don't.
Yeah.
We don't really have a castle doctrine either. But it's right in the definitions from the state police, concealed carriers, and it's it's definitely in a Mag 40. De-escalate, 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 because you can't get into an argument because you know that there's a gun around because you're carrying a gun. I mean, it's. I'm happy this guy and his 3 friends got away safely. I'm really disappointed with the way he handled it when he could have left twice. Is that fair enough to say?
Yep.
Absolutely.
You know what? Here we are yammering away, and I haven't even stopped and saved the last segment yet. Oops. Give me a minute.
Do.
It's going to take just a minute to do that. Blame the producer.
No. I just wanted you. It's your show, Paul. I wanted you to know where.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Okay.
The reason we have multiple people on is because I want multiple views.
Yeah.
And Gary's looking at me really interestingly here.
What? Me, Gary, or him, Gary?
No, this Gary. And you should have seen, if you were here a couple weeks ago, there was...
really good radio.
It was... What happened in the parking lot was even more interesting than what happened on microphone.
Yeah, I listened to the show, so I don't
We
know
got
what I
Paul.
missed.
We got Paul standing up. He got all fired up, man. Seriously.
That
was about
wasn't
a
in the
town in your
show.
state too.
We should have brought that up when we were talking about Bill Cosby when that quote came out, because
Yep.
Gary, if arguments were going to be settled with guns, I think we would have both drawn out that day.
Well, now you understand that any individual under any circumstances has to be looked at in their entirety, not one snippet or another. as an example, I have always been against people that are one-issue voters, whether or not it be Roe versus Wade, whatever side you're on, one-issue voter, gun control, one-issue voter, taxes, one-issue voter, particularly when it comes to national deals. If you look at Bill Cosby's life and what he stands for and what he talks about and what he supports in its entirety,
Oh yeah, yeah. I agree,
a
110%.
pretty outstanding man.
Yeah, yeah.
First time, I'm sorry to say.
I will say this: if you're going to be a one-issue voter, the one issue to be is guns, because generally speaking, not always, if somebody trusts you with guns, they trust you with all your other liberties too.
I would agree with that, but or I wouldn't disagree with that, but I'm guessing that there are a lot of women out there who would think that particular issue is, if you're going to vote on an issue. And that's the issue I know more of. I know more women who vote on a candidate based on how he stands pro or anti-abortion than I do any of the guys I know who make a vote based on pro or anti-gun.
Sure.
It's just a more emotional situation. So.
All right. Well, now that we've totally gone way off track here, let's. Gary Harpster, you got the first DGU. Do you want to bring us back?
I can do that. Let me make sure I'm in the right spot here. DGU number 1. We're talking about Jackson, Mississippi.
Yep. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay.
Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the DGU segment of the show. And I'm up first. This is Gary with ABN, and I want to talk about the Jackson, Mississippi Police. Having spent a little bit of time in that city, they are looking for the third suspect involved in an early Thursday morning home invasion and shooting. Jackson Police Department Public Information Officer Calendula Green tells us that 3 suspects broke into a home around 2 a.m. on Myrtlewood. Police say the homeowner used his gun and fired several shots. One person was hit in the head and taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. A second person was found shot in the chest behind a house across the street several hours later. Police again are still looking for the third suspect. Police say that the suspect is also suffering from life-threatening injuries. This is the second one that was shot at the house. And the third suspect is still at large. One suspect's some training here, 1 chest shot, 1 head shot out of 3 suspects. That's not bad.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I do suspect that and they did not give the name of the person that used the gun in self-defense in that one, or I certainly would have given them some credit. But you got to expect, I mean, they could have got lucky, but 1 headshot and 1 center mass shot on 3 suspects, that to me says they've taken some training.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at it, this is, I'm thinking one good guy, 2 a.m., middle of the night, he's probably groggy, you know, lots of adrenaline is running. I mean, if you have people breaking into your home, you're going to have adrenaline. You're not going to be at your best. And still, even in that situation, his training kicked in, obviously.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know his background, because you're right. You know, when I'm training, I'm always telling people the first thing you got to do is expect to crap your pants and pee yourself, because somebody's breaking your house in the middle of the night. You are scared to death. You're lucky to be able to hold it and aim it down the hallway. For a guy to be composed enough, regardless of how much range shooting he's had, but to be composed enough to take that breath and go, and then put those rounds off that successfully, I'd like to meet him.
Yeah, and it's important to train and to train the right way. So train moving and shooting, train under stress, train with target identification. You don't just go stand there, look at your target, take a few seconds, and bring your gun up and shoot. You know, I mean, do real life training scenarios.
Really,
that training will kick in when you're under stress. Even things like trigger control, or the way you sight, the way you breathe and scan, or the way you move. That is all going to kick in. Whatever you do in your training will kick in a real life scenario. So make it good. Make your training be really good.
Yep, and that's what I always try to impress on people, that so much of the training to be successful at self-protection has more to do with things that have nothing to do with the gun itself, and so much more to do with all of those extraneous, like you're talking about. the idea of working under stress, the idea of lights being partially out, partially on, window light coming in, being woken up in the middle of the night, having a family member screaming. I mean, there's all sorts of circumstances that you can practice with just a plastic pistol in your hand.
Oh, yeah.
To practice how you're going to deal with them.
Oh, yeah.
In the range.
You know, and some of the best training classes, Kathy Jackson's Cornered Cat class, when I took that last year, those were all dealt with. That was part of the training.
A good course will do that. I know there have been a few times when a friend invited me out to say, hey, let's go out and do some shooting. I was like, you know, I'm so exhausted. There's no way I can shoot. I'm going to go embarrass myself. And I thought, hey, this is a great time to go. I'm not going to be at my best. It's a great time to train to see how I am when I'm at my worst and see if I can make that better. So
there you go.
Don't try to make your training, you know, be set up so you can shoot your absolute best. Try to sabotage yourself and see if you can make it work still.
Yep. And if I can, you know, just add the one comment that I feel is against our listeners, our clientele, our gun people, is that the majority of them think that the training at the range, that's the training they need. That's what they say. Oh, I trained last week, or I trained last month. Because they did that. They went to the range, they fired off 100 rounds at that target that's 15, 20, 25, then they brought it back on the little rope with a little wire.
Right.
That's their training. I wish we could impress more upon them that if you're going to carry a weapon for self-defense, the training you need to do is what's going to happen when all hell breaks loose about the all crap stuff around you that's going to be happening. You know, the people moving who are innocent civilians in a convenience store holdup. For example, you know, if you're in a convenience store and somebody comes in and robs it, you've got 3 or 4 other people in the store. How are you going to identify them? What decisions you A lot of that stuff has more to do with the self-defense than, for example, what type of pistol you carry or what ammo you shoot with.
And again, both Masada Ayub Group and Kathy Jackson went through those things. Good professional classes.
Yes.
Good professional classes cover those.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's get more of them.
Absolutely. Y'all get yourselves some training. Make it good. Make your worst level be good enough so that if you're caught, you're ready to go. All right, let's move along. That was a good discussion there. I have a couple more DGUs. I've got the next one. WISN out of Milwaukee tells the story of a carjacker who just wasn't so successful. The 15-year-old criminal tried to carjack one person earlier this week. When the victim realized he was being targeted, he hit the throttle and started to drive away. The young punk fired at the victim, who drove himself to the hospital after being struck in the jaw by a bullet. He was injured but alive and still in possession of his property. So that was fail number 1. Well, the next day, this young Obama supporter, well, they didn't say that in the story, but we kind of threw it in because we figured, you know, Paul figured it might probably fit the case. This guy decided to try again. This time he picked a woman who has a CCW and was carrying. The result is he is in serious but stable condition in the hospital and is facing multiple felony charges. You know, the saying goes, if you don't succeed, well, try again, and also maybe third time's a charm. I'm not going to suggest this guy try to get a third time. I'm just not thinking it's a good idea. I would recommend he change his profession at this point.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
Absolutely, yeah. Another good guy with a gun stopping a bad guy.
Or a good woman with a gun.
Good woman. Shannon Watts will tell you it never happens, but I think we know differently.
Yep.
I've got the next one. Amen. I've got the next one. This was a DGU that was discussed on the last show by Rob and John. I wasn't there. They talked about a DGU that took place in Chicago, and I wanted to address the situation a little bit more. Obviously, there was an argument that seemed to be going on. There was people walking out of a party. Then somebody went into the house and came back out with a gun and started shooting. I hope what is taught in every concealed carry and self-defense class is try to de-escalate these arguments, even if that means leaving the area. Second, the time to escape was when the guy went into the house, not after he comes back out shooting. They did fortunately stop the guy, one of the guys who was shooting at him. Two more people added on. There ended up being a bunch of people shooting at them. They stopped the first guy and did get into their cars and escape. I'm just saying, as a trainer, from a training perspective, that's not when you want to make your escape. Before any of the guns come out is a better time to try and do that.
I would totally agree. I've heard Rob and John talk about it. I haven't read up on that particular DGU myself that much. But yeah, if the guy goes into if there's an argument, the guy goes into the house, it's time to drive away. Yeah, I'll agree with you on that.
That was my concern with that, was that aspect of it was not addressed.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to mention we do have links to each of our news and defensive gun use articles at PoliteSocietyPodcast.com if you'd like to share them with a friend. We're going to go ahead and step aside right here. Coming up next, we got the next in our series of Kathy Jackson's Corner Cat Quick Tips. And then when we come back, we've got email, and we'll close the show up. So hang on, everybody. Right back right after this. Good discussion, guys.
Yeah, that was cool stuff. They're on a roll.
Yeah, what I was just saying, Paul, is your house. I understand that you want different viewpoints, but I'm just saying it's your house, and I'm not going to soil it if you don't want me to. So.
No, I totally and completely understand, and whatever you're on, feel free to bring up anything you like.
And when you don't like it, feel free to tell me. Not much. Buckwheat.
Now, if you start saying that you start saying that Obama needs to be able to, we need to change the Constitution so he can run for a third term, we might have a discussion going there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. We are rolling right along.
Email. I want the second email because it was written pretty much to me.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody wrote the first one into Rob. Who wants that one?
I can do it.
It's the guy I visited with in San Antonio.
Oh, then you should do it.
Yeah, you should do it, Rachel.
Okay. We visited for quite a while. He was at the Appleseed shoot that I taught a couple weeks ago.
Oh, God. That leaves the Illinois one. I hate you all.
You're welcome.
Nobody else wants it, I'll do it.
Like a boss.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'll either way, I'd kind of like you to do it, but because you're, the way when John's on, we let him have the East Coast stuff. Rob's on, he gets California. So, as our Illinois boy.
There you go.
What is there more on the story somewhere, or?
Yeah, is there a link?
Let me throw it in there quick. Let me throw it in there.
Yeah, that'd probably be good.
I gotta bring up my email program. I was doing show notes in a hurry earlier today.
That's okay. Do you want me to try to parcel out the rest of it, or who wants what?
Yeah, go ahead and just assign to,
Okay.
Remember, we've got two Garys, so make sure you include the last initial.
Gary D and Gary H. Right.
D and H.
D and H. Okay, let's do Gary.
Okay, two laptops. What I'm going to have to do, Rachel, can I put this in a? Can I put this in a? This link in a private message to you on Facebook and have you pop it in the show notes, please?
Yes, I can do that.
Yeah, I always leave Facebook off when we're on because that's such a computer hog. That will slow you down a lot.
Yep.
That's true. However, that's about the only way I've got a way to get the link to Rachel right now. So.
Well, there's
Yep.
a group chat on all Google.
Oh, you know what? There is. Just a minute. Forget it.
That's right. That's right.
Just saying.
That's right.
Okay, let me go ahead and pop it in the chat window here.
Because I'm not getting anything out of the group chat. Just that Rachel joined. There we go. I was wondering where that was.
Yeah, well, we kind of I type on the notes because I know that's where everybody's reading when I have
Right.
something
Yeah.
that needs to be.
By the way, that freaked me out earlier today when we were both. I didn't even notice you were working on the notes. All of a sudden, he starts writing in front of me. I'm like, oh, crap. So I know
Wait a
I was
minute.
typing pretty quickly at the time, but I didn't know I was typing that damn quickly.
Paul was using inappropriate language in the show notes, and I had to let him know that.
Uh-oh, not good.
We get emails?
Man.
It was just a keyboard slip, but it was so funny to catch him on it. And he went, "What?"
That's great. Oh, wow.
Faculty training with Rachel on probably the Talk Gun Show.
Okay, I think I just kind of went through in order. Everything should
Okay.
be assigned out.
No, well, we still got email up here. Email one. Rachel, you got that?
Yep.
Yes,
that-
I'm doing that one.
The way it looks is kind of funky because it was addressed to Rob.
Ah, okay. Who's got email 2?
That's me.
Okay. Then Gary D has email 3.
Yep.
Do we have
We're not going to be doing the reading of the
Right.
local because we got when we had the voice actress come in, she did that read for us that I keep forgetting to put into the shows, but we've got
For all the civil rights groups?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
All right, so we're going to end with Gary D. Look at the Shooters Club.
Yep, and then we're going to go straight from that to that wraps up another episode of the Polite Society podcast.
Do you want me to just delete those? Does that work?
No, don't delete them. Just
No, don't. We just don't read them.
just don't read them exactly.
Well, wait a minute. Here, just to make it easier on everybody, she can delete it right now, and then click the back arrow. No, never mind. That won't work. Never mind.
We'll just know not to. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
And if you happen to start reading them, I guess the producer will have to do something creative, like I don't know, edit.
Yeah, Paul can work his magic.
Is there anybody
that
watching
we
us on
mess up.
YouTube?
At
Two?
least three directly on YouTube. I don't know. Have we got any?
Yeah, have we got any questions or comments that we need to address there?
Oh, hey, Cornfed.
And we have 3 through YouTube.
3 directly on YouTube, plus anybody watching on Google Plus and on the live page.
Okay. Well, I put the YouTube link up on our website tonight. I was wondering if there's.
Now we popped up to 4. You increased our viewership by 25%.
Awesome. You just rock like that.
If anybody sees the link up there, let me know. Let us know. Hey, we see the link up there. I'll put that YouTube every Saturday.
Hey, Gary, this is going to be our last chance. Do you want to do a live promo?
No, I don't. Not this time.
Okay.
We can run her promo again, and
Okay.
I'll have some live promo set up for next week because we've been kind of running on.
Okay.
Anybody who wants anything, just send me an email.
All right.
Seriously.
All right. Let's go ahead and bring it back. Rachel, since you got the first one, you want to bring us back?
Sure. Be happy to. I think we're ready.
I'm not though. Just a
Nope.
second.
Nope. Okay. Take your time.
Multiple computers means multiple keyboards and all that good stuff. So.
Yep.
Okay. Ready when you are.
All right. Coming back in 5. Welcome back to the Polite Society podcast. This is our final segment, and it includes our email discussion with emails sent in from our listeners. This podcast, we have 3 emails we get to read and discuss, and I've got the first one for you. This one is addressed to Rob. John writes in as follows. I am the John from San Antonio who took the Appleseed training with Rachel and called into Gun Talk. I'm a pediatric orthopedic surgeon, and I'm trying to advance gun rights in my little corner of Texas. My area of concern is that Texas state law mandates that hospitals and nursing homes must post the state-designated signs to prevent concealed license holders from carrying on the premises. As we both know, this turns hospitals into victim disarmament zones. Unfortunately, hospital administrators are not willing to allow staff to carry. This is allowed under state law. I also presented a resolution to our county medical society board to remove gun-free zones. They voted it down 22-2. I've been in communication with Timothy Wheeler, MD from Doctors for Responsible Gun Ownership, to help me with the medical community. Unfortunately, he has run into similar problems in the past. On a better note, I have organized some introductory pistol courses for medical staff. I got a couple of good instructors to do them for me. You might recognize their names, Bob Main and Ben Branham. Yes, we do recognize those names.
Couple cool guys.
Yeah. The first course, we got 12 students, including the 16-year-old daughter of a physician and one of the doctors who voted against the resolution at the County Medical Society. Way to go. We've scheduled the next one for September. I've also personally taken over 20 new shooters to the range in the past year, and I'm going to take the NRA basic and pistol instructor courses next weekend. I'm also hoping Rachel will help me when the next legislative session convenes in 2015. I hope to meet you at GRPC in Chicago. John. My goodness, we could spend a whole podcast talking about the things this guy is doing right. I really enjoyed meeting him and visiting with him. Not only was he a great participant in the Appleseed shoot, just improving his own shooting and being so helpful to the other shooters, but I really enjoyed visiting with him about some of these other issues and just hearing his activism and his willingness to jump in. What he's doing is some of the things that I rant about that upset me when people don't do them. He's taking his unique skills and his corner, his circles that he works in, and he's leveraging his time for the maximum effectiveness. He's using what he has to affect change. So he's working. He's in the medical field. He's working in the medical field to advance gun rights. Oh, and when that kind of doesn't go so well, what does he do? He goes and takes people to the range to try to change their minds, help their kids learn how to shoot. He's doing so many things right, and I'm so looking forward to working with him in the next legislative session.
Well, I'm looking forward to meeting up with the guy at GRPC in Chicago.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm going to shake his hand and tell him, good on you. You're doing a great job. Keep it up.
Absolutely.
Amen. Amen. And I'd love to get the this is the first I'd heard of that, the Doctors for Responsible Gun Ownership. I would love to get them on the air with us. I'll have to see if I can find some contact and send out some feelers to them. But yeah. Great email, John. Thanks for sending that in, man.
Absolutely.
Well, our next email, this one was from Ken from Phoenix. He sent this one, and he wrote it to me. He says, "Thank you so much for your tribute to your little dog. I am so sorry for your huge loss. You especially touched me as my doggy Shuggy, 11 pounds of poodle love, is about the same age with a similar history, and I thought I was going to lose him this past July 1st. The previous night, he had collapsed 4 times in a 10-hour stretch, but he recovered over the next few days and has rebounded this past week. I know the end is near for him, and I too dread the rapidly approaching day. Your experience is touching, and your words were comforting. Thanks, Ken from Phoenix." Ken, I really wasn't intending it to do that, but I'm glad it did. It was kind of... it was a painful time for me. That what is that bad quote from a Star Trek movie? Share the pain and gain strength through the sharing. So, but yeah, if it helps somebody, I'm glad.
Good, Ken. Good luck with your dog Shuggy too.
We got one more, Gary. I think you got that one.
More trouble in Illinois. Anthony Lucafo sent us a link relaying a story that Dick Durbin is trying to push more gun control bills in the Senate. I don't expect much to come of this, but we will keep an eye on it. After all, Dick has proved that he is aptly named.
Yes, he is aptly named. I looked at this story that Anthony sent us, and really, he's trying to use the he's trying to use the recent weekend shootings in Chicago to try and push more gun ban bills, but I don't see it going anywhere. I don't think any gun control is going to be going through the Senate or the House in the near future. I honestly see, I'm really looking forward to November when I think we could honestly see things start to swing the other way. So.
Well, just on that note, Harry Reid was trying to push through a, let's call it a fake gun-friendly bill for some of the Democratic senators who are struggling in their states coming up for re-election in November, and that was also shot down by our pro-gun senators. So they are not letting them get away with politic tricks either. So we're doing good on both sides.
Sure.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, folks, that brings us kind of to the end of our show. We want to let you know that the Polite Society download app is out on Amazon for Android. And the iPhone app is in iTunes, and it is called Podcast Box. They are located by our old name, Politics and Guns. Hot links are in our show notes. Please find them, link, enjoy.
Also, please check out Kathy Jackson's Corner Cat training classes. Her next class that still has seats available is the weekend of September 13th and 14th in Culpeper, Virginia. Also, she talked about in the interview when she was on the tactical couples class. That's the weekend after that in Centerton, Arkansas. You can check those out by going to cornercat.com for more class links and details on those classes.
Rob isn't here with us this evening, but he has a post from his Slow Facts blog that we wanted to mention. We are ordinary gun owners, and we have a superpower. We are trusted by our neighbors. The ordinary gun owner has a reputation for being honest, fun to be around, and trustworthy. That reputation is the antidote to the lies told by the anti-rights crowd because our neighbors believe us rather than the media. The question is this: will we use our superpower for good? Will we take a friend shooting? What about you? Will you take a friend shooting this week?
Me? Probably not. I have to leave Monday, and I've got things scheduled for tomorrow that don't include shooting.
Yeah.
But next weekend I plan to.
Next weekend is awesome. So all our listeners, hey, think about whom you can take shooting. Send us an email. Send us a picture of you guys at the range. Post it on our Facebook page. We'd love to see that.
Where are you going next weekend?
Out to my dad's farm.
Holler at me
Sure.
later. Give me that. I might be able to do next weekend.
Very cool.
And also look into the Shooters Club by Bob Main and Ben Branham. For $75 a year, that works out to only $6.25 a month. You get 24/7 access to some fantastic training and audio podcasts that you can't get anywhere else. Subscribe from a link in our show notes. Subscribing from the link in our show notes help Bob and Bren, as well as us here at the Polite Society Podcast. Yeah, that was good, huh?
5, 4. That wraps up another episode of the Polite Society Podcast until... Oh, wait, stop. Before we go to the show close, I want to mention to everybody there's not going to be a midweek show this coming week. The only one available to do it is Rachel, and I'm not going to dump that on her for a solo show. And honestly, Rachel, I haven't even talked to you. I don't know if you would be available to do a solo show, but I'm not going to dump this whole monstrosity on you.
Well, I would be there, but that would be a little bit daunting. I have to admit.
So we're going to just do this next weekend again, then. There's not going to be a midweek show next week. So Listeners, be aware of that. And until that weekend show next weekend, everybody,
stay safe.
Be aware.
And we'll see y'all down the road.
Do 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 do.
I love
The
this
views and
sticker.
opinions on the show you just heard are those of the host and the guest and are not necessarily the views of any sponsors or other affiliations. But hey, not everyone is as smart as we are.
God, I love that.
That's great.
So do we still have our YouTubers?
Yeah, we still got the YouTube viewers on, and we should have a live page in Google. I haven't ended the broadcast yet, so.
Is there, and I'm just, because I'm learning my way around this, is there any way for the YouTubers to directly send us something right as we're talking to
Yep.
them right now?
There's an app as the YouTube people are watching. There's an app called Q&A that they can click on, and if they ask a question, it'll appear right here as we're talking.
Okay.
And so yeah,
Those of you watching on YouTube, do any of you want to say something while we're still live? This is like television, man. I mean, look.
Yeah, be famous.
There you go. 15 minutes of fame. I got that one.
in Gary's case, it's more infamous than famous, but you know.
Yeah, I already had mine.
Something. Rich
I
and
used, to
famous.
have, I used to have hair once, and I looked good on TV. Yeah, not so much anymore.
I vaguely remember hair. There's pictures of me with hair.
Rachel, we'd like to have Rachel's hair.
Yeah, unless you go to the range. Hair and the range do not mix. My hair is so gross right now. It's disgusting.
Does it get full of, gunpowder
Yes.
residue from the?
Gunpowder, mud, dust. It's
Well.
gross. Like when I come home from an Appleseed shoot, my hair is so disgusting. I can't take off my hat if I need to stop at a store on the way home. It's disgusting.
Just out of curiosity, because gunpowder residue is such an unusual mixture. I mean, it's different than obviously mud or something like that. It'd be like getting oil in your hair. How the hell what do you use to get that out of it?
I just use my regular shampoo and double it up and scrub.
Oh, okay. So
It works.
cuts
It works. Yeah.
Not that Paul or I have that problem.
Lucky you. I don't mind having
Yeah.
hair, but man, when I go to the range, sometimes I just wish I could take it off.
As everybody can see, I do not have any issues with a lot of stuff getting caught in my hair.
Wonderful.
Well, I don't see anything popping up on the
I don't
Q&A
either.
app, so
I don't either.
everybody's looking like they're just content to sit and listen. And so we've got a grill going. We're going to be doing some shish kebabs and other things here in just a few minutes. So I think we're going to go ahead and let Gary and Rachel go off and do their own thing. And
Good to talk with both you again. Gary, look forward to the next time. Rachel, see you next week.
All right. See y'all later.
all right,
Great.
yep. See you. Gary, you joining us again next weekend?
Next weekend, I'm here.
Yeah,
All right.
I should be here next Saturday. Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Oh, Rachel, make sure you check out our Facebook page. Cornfed just posted a picture to the Polite Society Podcast Facebook page. I guess his daughter took an Appleseed shoot.
Mhm.
So,
Awesome. I will go check it out right now.
all right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
You bet.